Welcome, everyone, to the Pregame Cheat Sheet. I'm Darren Smith, along with the great Steve Walls. We are live.
Great. Hey, I'm leveling up.
Leveling up, man. But we are live from EverBank Stadium here in Jacksonville, Florida, kicking off another season, another Super Bowl run, starting with the preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where the Kansas City Chiefs are on the road today. Steve, your initial thoughts here as we open up the 2024-25 season?
It gives me 2019 like vibes, really, because remember we started here in 2019 as the first game of the season. But you know, the weather is actually pretty cool. The lady on the elevator was like, "Oh, well, we're going to start, cooling down a little bit. It's 117 degrees every other day except today."
So look, we've got a lot to discuss tonight. Obviously, a lot of the fans are interested to see, a lot of the rookies, a lot of the new players. We expect, Andy Reid said on Wednesday, that you can expect the starters to play the first quarter, second string, second, third, and so on. But the way Andy has normally done it, if the team looks good on their opening series, he'll pull the offense out. He'll pull the starters out on offense and go the rest of the way with the back and stuff like that. So are you expecting the same thing in tonight's game?
Of course. I mean, Andy is a creature of habit. He has everything down to a T because he's a mad scientist, offensive genius is what he's been called. And we all know Andy will say, "Oh, well, the offense play the first, the first quarter." However, there'll be some pieces that'll play the whole first quarter, offensive linemen, but the main stars are not going to play but one series.
Now, the only way they'll play, at least more, is if they don't look good, in the opening drive. Andy's been known for that, to allow it to happen. But a lot to talk about, and so there's a lot of rookies that's going to be playing tonight that we're going to be interested in. Obviously, a lot of people want to see the wide receivers. I know we're one of them, of course. See what they've been doing in training camp and try to see if that transfers over to the field. Obviously, the new additions for Kansas City includes Hollywood Brown along with Xavier Words, and of course, bringing back Rashid Rice. We don't know his situation for the regular season this year, but his preseason at least, he'll be able to play until the NFL comes down with any type of punishment due to his off the field stuff. But looking at that, obviously some of the graphics on defense, especially, who are you most interested in, or is there a particular group that you're interested in watching in tonight's game?
Or offensive defense.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, of course, offensive line. There's the whole left tackle. You don't know who's going to start, right? You don't know if it's going to be the rookie or you don't know which direction they're going to go. So I'm looking at the left tackle, and I'm also looking at cornerbacks with the absence of L'Jarius Sneed, him going to Tennessee. Now it's only Trent McDuffie out there. And he's going to have to take on that leadership role, which we know Spags put him in a situation last year, L'Jarius, to where he traveled across the line and he was the leader. And so who's going to take on that role? Of course, you have some guys, young guys, as well as I do with Josh Williams, and the other veterans that are coming back.
So look, offensively, I want to look at the wide receivers. I'm not going, because we talked about it before we even came out here, how the Chiefs have about 20 wide receivers.
12.
At least 12. Yeah. That's playing it tonight for the night game. So obviously, it looks like they're probably going to be, for the 53-man roster, which cuts down on August 27th. It looks as though they're probably going to go with 6, maybe 7, depending on what happens with Rashid. But we've got players who've been on this team since 2020 that have yet, like Cornell Powell. He has yet to make the active roster. He's been practice squad since he's been here, and obviously. Situation with Darius Tony and his injury, and now they got him playing running back. So we don't know if he's going to make the team. There's obviously a lot of talk about Sky Moore as well. Some of the issues that he's had. But then, of course, just look at the other players. They brought Nicole Hartman back, but you've got so many players that have been here and that are here. Hollywood's going to make the team. Rice. We know Worthy. I was talking to someone last night about Justin Washington. They're like, well, he's in this, but Pat likes him. I don't know what it is, but if Pat likes him, it kind of helps. So I want to see who steps up in tonight's game, especially with the backup quarterback, because, again, Mahomes only going to play one or two drives max. But what can you do with the backup lineman, with the backup quarterback, and how do you play? How well do you play? Because at the end of the day, you got to put something on tape because we know everybody's not going to make the team. So you still want to have something to put on tape for other teams to look at while you're out there on the field.
And you mentioned the wide receivers. There's 4 guaranteed wide receivers who are going to be on this team come hell or high water. That's Hollywood Brown, Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy, and I would put in there Justin Watson.
So,
Now everyone else, you're looking at the Kadarius Tonys, the McCole Hardman, Sky Moore, Montreal Washington, Kyle Sheets, Justin Ross, Nico Remigo, and Phillip Brooks and Cornell Powell. All those other guys are interchangeable, right? Like they're bringing back McCole Hardman, but he can be replaced. He can.
I mean, it's especially on the returns because you got
course.
right now, just looking at the list, they've got Nico as the kickoff returner and Xavier as the punt returner. Now, it's hard for me to really see, unless you not get on, it's hard for me to see Xavier because you don't really want to extend them. I mean, you can, because of the speed and the threat, but you don't want him also get hurt even on special teams.
No, not in preseason, but regular season, I feel like you want him. He's got to be a workhorse, man. This is the NFL.
No,
you did return in college, so there's no reason why you can't do it in the NFL. You're going to need one of these guys to play, special teams. And I mean, Sky Moore, has he taken the step that he needs to take to be on the team? I mean, he talked earlier on, I think it was last week, where he talked about, what his steps were in the offseason. He said, he looked at himself. And he had to figure out what exactly he needed to do to make himself a better football player.
One of the things that we're looking forward to tonight, and I don't want to speak to you, but I want to see how Dave Tobe handles this, the kickoff. We've seen it, Hall of Fame game in the last couple of nights, and really nothing has been really stood out. But now I'm really wondering, Steve, whether or not teams are just trying to hold back until the regular season, to where you'll see a lot of. Because I saw something in the Chicago game, but you'll see a lot of touchbacks and teams just let them take it out here until the regular season started. Then you start showing your hand.
I think one of the guys that I'm going to look forward to be back there, and I'm watching him closely today, is Luis Reese-Salmon. The rugby star who's now playing his first time in the NFL in football pads. Yeah, so I think that's kind of a rugby style play when you look at the kickoff now, and I feel like he should do fairly well if it translates. I know the ball's a little different, but if things translate how they're supposed to, he should do fairly well. If
you can see deep in the background, you see the Chiefs coming out the tunnel onto the field right now. Steve Walsh, Darren Smith again. We want to welcome you to another year. This is at least our seventh season doing this that I can remember, because we started
2019.
Well, we've been here for a minute, so and we're gonna be with you every game from here to the Super Bowl. When we expect Kansas City to go for 3 straight. Look, let's talk about that just for a second, just to see the outlook and how these people are handling it thus far this season. Obviously, the big news for Kansas City won their second straight Super Bowl. They are one of the favorites, along with San Francisco, to get back to the Super Bowl, along with winning it. Obviously, no team that's got as close as Kansas City is trying to get, minus the San Francisco 49ers, who went back-to-back and lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship game in 1990. Obviously, for me, Steve, as long as the Chiefs are healthy, and I was talking with the Chiefs radio announcer today in the news about this before we came on the air, we both feel like as long as they're healthy going into the playoff, I don't see a reason why they don't compete.
I don't either, but there's some teams that are coming. And like Deion said, they come, right? You got to look at Houston. I look at Houston, and that's the team where I would have some concerns there. Now they're going to play them this season, but I just think Houston's going to be looking across the whole AFC. Now AFC West, I think the Chiefs kind of have those teams in the chokehold, so to speak. But I feel like Houston is going to be that team that really gives the Chiefs some trouble.
Here's the thing. It's funny because I get that, I respect it because of how they played last year, but the difference that I tell people between Kansas City and everyone else is that because they've been there, they got the experience, and they have the it factor. Like literally, they turned it on in the postseason last year to make that run. And the thing is, because they most of them outside of rookies that they do addition, they've gone through the highs and lows. They know come playoff time how to navigate through that.
True.
So like, let's say Baltimore. Let's say if they play Baltimore again. Well, Baltimore has been in that situation, but they didn't get over that hump, and so it took Kansas City a while to get past the New England Patriots. Once they got over the hump.
Brady.
Once they got over the hump, what I'm saying. So to me, the Chiefs are going to have to play a game, i.e., 2021 Cincinnati Bengals type second half or something, to where they just collapse. For me to believe that they can't go back and more. Yeah, so sorry. So we're back. And this quick internet issue over here outside here at EverBank Stadium. Steve Walls along with Darren Smith. Again, as we said, when it comes to the Chiefs trying to three-feed, I just think that they put themselves in a good position. Look, one of the things that we haven't talked about with the wide receivers, there's some wide receivers that we know can catch the football.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood Brown is a receiver that can catch the football. He just needs a quarterback, one that can stay healthy and get him the football that he can produce. So I expect to see that from him this year.
And let me ask you something. The ups and the downs that the wide receiver crew took last year, do you foresee that being another issue at the beginning of the season?
No, because those wide receivers that were here last year, they got preseason to show up or they won't be here. Because
it's the same crew.
No.
Six minus one.
No, yeah. Well, I think somebody else left besides NBS. But to your point, again, you bring in Hollywood, you got Rasheed Rice, and you got Xavier Worth. So that's three positions right there.
Yeah.
But you're looking at a Scott who we said might not make the team, like Darius Tony, who we thought might have been cut after the Super Bowl,
right,
but they brought her back, and then McCole Hart. So I mean, those are three players that were on the team last year, playing throughout the season, where they all had mishaps. And so, but to your point, I mean, that's the reason why Andy and Brett brought some new players in, and then you got other players that are trying to because look, Chiefs fans still want to see what the deal is with Justin Ross.
Right.
I want to see what's going on with Justin Ross. I want to see, how you do on the field in real life action versus preseason and what he does on the practice squad.
And when we both saw the what Andy Reid had to do, they had to simplify the playbook. We talked about that a lot last year, whereas you're not getting a lot of these guys rotating. And I know Patrick said at the beginning of the season, if you got one of these guys on fantasy, you're going to be upset because every week there's going to be somebody new. And so, do you feel like the simplification of the offense is going to continue, or will Andy go back to his own way?
No, because Patrick made that announcement really 2 years ago. Because when they got rid of Tyreek, it was basically Travis is going to get his catches, but we got to spread the ball around, and that's when he had, I guess, really outside the 50 touchdown year, his best statistical season. This year, we already know Patrick and them are expected to throw the ball down the field, and so all that little dinking and donking to simplify the playbook. Andy Reid, that was last year. That's what they had to do. They're not trying to. Patrick, they're not trying to do that this year because
the same crew.
No, Steve, it's not the same crew because you got Hollywood, you got Xavier. Again, you got world class speed. That's Tyreek Hill speed that you got with working that you didn't have last year.
Okay,
and you got Hollywood Brown, who's got speed and got hands that they didn't have last year.
Got to get on the ball. And that's the thing. You got to get on the ball. We talked about it, and fans may not want to accept this. They may say, "Oh, Steve, you're talking out the side of your neck." But here's the thing. Patrick had to take some ownership of that last year.
Oh yeah. Well, hold on now. Cause see, now we're gonna do some debate talk. Now, mind you, now everybody tripping out about the fact he wasn't number one, and I don't know if you or someone asked him at first about not being ranked because he was ranked number 4.
Hmm.
But you just said, and this is what I try to tell people: he didn't play well. Yes, two things can be true. He is the best player in the league, but he didn't have a good season last year. He had 24 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. In nobody's book is that a number one player. Yes, you can win Super Bowl because again, you shouldn't forget we had the number one ranked defense going into the
Of
playoffs
course we did.
and doing the Super Bowl. So I'm saying, and taking nothing away from Patrick and what he's done, but the team did not win the Super Bowl based off of Patrick's play throughout the season. It was based off that defense that's Patrick on the field, and because Patrick said himself that the defense was carrying them along.
Mhm.
So to your point, but I said to say that yes, Patrick, Patrick is great, but saying he didn't have a good season last year.
I agree. That's why sometimes people get blinded by the fact that Patrick is good. Right?
Well, media folks gonna get blinded too.
Yeah, of course, and I'll attest to that because I was one of them. And it's kind of you have to take a step back and say, man, why aren't they catching the ball?
Yeah.
Why aren't things working? And I mean, you still take back, and we can move forward off this topic in just a second. But
Yeah.
think about the red zone, the issues they had in the red zone last year. How well are they going to do this year compared to last year? Because that's been 3-4 years working that they've struggled in the red zone.
Well, I don't think they struggled 2 years ago again because that was a sacrifice that Patrick was willing to make 2 years ago.
Of course.
Last year he didn't want to make that sacrifice. And again, I don't see him making that sacrifice this year because of the people that they brought in.
Mhm.
And then I think we look at the tight end, the rookie tight end out of out of Duke or something.
Jared Wallace.
Jared Wallace. I mean they've got some good backup players and they have some other good players that can contribute. That was not on the team that again gives you a certain energy that they can bring that might not have been there. Again, that's why I said for those players like a Sky Moore, like a Darren, if they didn't improve in the offseason to where they're catching, because I know we've seen some training camp issues, with some of the players, but if they can't improve over these next 10 weeks in preseason, they don't have to worry about making a 53-man roster. I'm telling you. You can just tell by the mindset of Patrick and Andy talking about opening up the playbook and getting the ball back down the field. They're not trying to have a repeat of last year. And the way Brett Beach is operating, we would not be doing our job if we didn't hold these players and them accountable for the play that they did last year if they come back and do it this year.
I agree 100%.
All right, so on the defense side of football, Steve, we know that Chris Jones is wanting to have his name in that hat for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, he got his big contract last year. Some of the other players that they're bringing back, Justin Reed last year, talked to him. I know we both talked to him in the offseason. He's actually playing for 2 contracts. He's a little banged up right now. Probably don't expect to see him play at all this preseason to get him back healthy because we want to get to Baltimore. But defensively, what are you looking forward to within the front 2 lines? Because for me, I want to see now. During the preseason, they're going to be playing a base defense, but they're not going to see anything special. But I do want to see how Nick Bolton plays alongside Leo Chenal as well as Drew Tranquil now going through the season.
I agree. You had George Karlaftis take that leap from last year.
Yeah.
He took a huge step from his rookie season. Can he continue that? Because we always talk about year 3 with these players, with young guys, and we saw he and with George Karlaftis and with Leo Chenal. Felix FAU.
Yeah.
They worked out with Chiefs great time behind Lee.
Shout out to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And they worked out with him and learned some jiu-jitsu and some other things this offseason. So I know when George did it last year, we saw it pay out off on the field.
Double-digit sacks.
He did it at 10. Yeah. So I want to see if he's able to continue that because we all were like, oh, well, maybe they need to bring back Frank Clark. This was last season.
Yeah.
And George stepped up. So I want to know, like,
credit, he's still trying to bring him back.
Of course we did.
He's still trying to bring him back.
Yeah, but is he able to make that leap? is Felix Anudike is able to make the leap like George did
Well, and
from
now,
year one to
now,
year two?
but now that's the key, because I do think George will continue to improve. The question is going to be FAU, whether like he's going to be able to make that leap from year one to two. And if he does again, I mean, there's going to be
Because there were some games he was a healthy scratch.
Yeah. Oh well, no. Well, here's my question to you. I don't want to call it pressure, and I don't want Chiefs to think that I'm saying that he's under pressure. But how much pressure is there, do you think, for Spags to kind of repeat what he did last year with this defense? Because again, I actually said before week one that the MVP of the season was going to be Spags with that defense, especially in Chris Jones' absence for the first game. And then we saw just how close it was, being the last play where Detroit won. But literally that defense, again, to me, was what carried this team over to over the championship. How much pressure, if any, is on Spags to kind of repeat what he put out there last year, especially with the absence of Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed?
I think there was more pressure these last couple years because you had a younger defense. He was forced to play rookies, and even I know you said it. Spags didn't play young guys.
I think Juan was early. Juan Cornell.
Spags didn't play rookies early on in his career as a head coach, right? And he was kind of forced to do that these past few years. And now you're getting these second year, third year guys, and of course on the back end you have Justin Reed. He's not going to have any pressure because he's going to be able to expand on what these guys already know. I think the only pressure that he'll have is how are you going to replace L'Jarius Sneed. I think that's going to be the key. And what we talked about earlier on the show is like who's going to step up and be able to do that. Is it going to be Joshua Williams? I know he's had most of the looks in the preseason because of Jalen Watson's injury, but can Joshua Williams be that aggressive? Because we know we've seen it all last year. Spags likes to play a lot of man-to-man.
Yeah.
A lot of bump you off the line and play catch-up, right? And so are they going to be able to do that? Are they going to be able to continue to do that this season?
And we've talked about Kamal Hand, of course, a lot of the rookies get playing time. I'm also looking forward to see what Jake Hicks does. I know with Justin Reed being out, he might start. He probably will start tonight and see some good playing time. So I'm always interested to see what these rookies and second-year players are going to do to see whether or not, how much they grasp on the playbook, and then for the second-year players, what they've done in the offseason from last year to this year to get that much better.
And another guy I'm high on is Shamari Connor.
Yes.
We saw him as a rookie last year. We saw what Spags was able to do, move him a lot in the nickel, also moved him back to play a little safety with the absence of Brian Cook. I think Shamari Connor is going to be, he's a dog, man. you just look about him flying around in the field, being aggressive. That's what he was able to do last year as a rookie, and I think he stepped up big time in the defensive side needs. And look, another guy that's coming back, you got Brian Cook.
Yeah.
How will he be able to bounce back from the injury that he took last year?
Yeah, those are the questions need to be answered. Now, look, Chiefs will play the next two preseason games at home next week. Next Saturday, they got a 3:00 kickoff, and then they have a Thursday night game to end the preseason. But I want, just because we have a little bit of time, to look at the regular season now. One of the things that people have asked me, and actually asked me earlier today, is that I think the NFL was rigged against the Chiefs last year. I was like, I don't know how you figured that, because everybody thought they were going to lose, and nobody wanted them to win because they were good. But I just want to ask this: with their schedule, because it seems like the NFL this year, I would say they did the Chiefs in the period because they did. The Chiefs play every day of the week besides the Tuesday. So I want to ask you, when we looked at the schedule this season, what game stood out to you or stands out to you that gives you cause to pause, or to where, because of the day when it falls on, they play on Black Friday, they play on Christmas, they play on the Saturday 4 days before Christmas. Are there any games that stand out this upcoming season that you think might trip Kansas City up?
Oh, that's kind of a loaded question because you've got a lot of teams. The Chiefs have the target on their back. Everyone knows. Everyone knows they're going. They're going for. Everyone knows they're going for the three-peat. But it's right out the gate, man. You got Baltimore that they're planning for. That's what Spags talked about 2 weeks ago. He said, "Hey, I'm only worried about Baltimore because of how things have gone with the Chiefs in Baltimore these past few years, especially last year, right? The Baltimore Ravens know, and Lamar Jackson knows that the way to the Super Bowl is through the Kansas City Chiefs."
And then you also have the following. You got the Cincinnati Bengals, and the NFL, to their credit, schedule that game early because you want to make sure that Joe Burrow is healthy for that type of matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But
Joe Burrow.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I do get kind of worried about the schedule latter part of the season just because of the scheduling. They play Houston at home on the 21st on a Saturday, and then 4 days later, you and I we're in Pittsburgh for Christmas. You know what I'm saying, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But also, even the week before that Sunday, 6 days earlier from the Houston game, they're going to Cleveland, take on the Dog Pound, with Deshaun Watson. Let's see whether or not he shows. But in that game, we're gonna have the reigning defensive player of the year. You know what I'm saying? Looking to get after him also. I mean, so literally, as we talk about, every game is going to be the other Super Bowl, especially of course the Carolina Panthers, who the Chiefs play
in Carolina.
In Carolina, right before Thanksgiving, and then the Buffalo game is before that game as well. So
in Buffalo.
Well, better to play it in November than than December or January. So, I mean, like I said, to me, they have a tough schedule, but when you win the division, your schedule is always going to play number one team every year. So, but I think for this team, what I would like to see that we really haven't seen the last couple of years is them go on a streak as they head into the playoffs. Like last, because they normally didn't lose in December. I mean, they were getting better, and they got near to the end of the season towards the playoffs. This past year, losing on Christmas and losing some of those other teams, were kind of a little shaky going into the playoffs. Now we still expecting what they were going to do, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, granted, they've been healthy. I think that when you look at the bigger picture, they've all been healthy going into those latter games at the end of the season, where they really didn't mean much, right? Because they really had the AFC West sold up. Those are going to be really the games too that we have to look at. Is how well will the Chargers play the Chiefs? How well will the Raiders play? Because I feel like the Raiders
can Justin Herbert stay healthy? Right now.
I think the Raiders are another team who are up and coming just because of who they have that's leading the ship.
Well, I mean, and they've proven they can beat Kansas City in Kansas City. So, and with the new head coach and Antonio Pierce,
he got them guys ready to run through. Yeah, he got them guys ready to run through a brick wall, man. And he's from that side of town. He eats, sleeps, and breathes like an NFL player. They're looking at him as their peer.
Well, and one of the things that he said in the offseason on the podcast was they plan on trying to get after him and hit them. I mean, which any team should do if you're playing the Chiefs. But but he's verbalized it to where you're simply saying we got a bounty on him without saying we got a bounty on him. Yeah. They're going to try to knock him out the game.
But, I mean, Max Crosby's the type of guy, he ain't going, because they're friends at the end of the day. He's not going to do nothing that jeopardizes, Mahomes' career. At least I would hope.
I don't hold nothing about nobody on the other team. If it means you can knock him out and it helps you get to the playoffs and you don't have to face Kansas City, I don't put nothing past any player on any team.
Okay.
So, look, before we get out of here, Steve, again, this upcoming season, we have a lot in store. We're going to bring you every game from Arrowhead to on the road, Steve and I, on location. Of course, so we'll have the red eye this upcoming season as we do after every Chiefs game at home. There's just so much that we have in store for our audience this upcoming season. But, Steve, before we get out of here, I know you want to thank your sponsors and then also just your final thoughts on tonight's first game. Preseason game.
I think it's going to be real vanilla for the first unit. Are they able to they're going to go deep on one of the plays, right? They're going to try to showcase early what they have.
I hope so.
But nothing's going to – some of the stuff that you're going to see tonight, you're not ever going to see again. And another thing that we didn't mention that Andy Reid said in his press conference earlier this week was that he wants to see some of those high draft picks go up against some of the ones, right? And they're going to be playing a lot early. So I haven't heard Andy Reid ever say that.
Well, one thing, and I'm sorry we didn't talk about it, we talked a little bit about especially the pickup, but Matt Ariza and of course Harrison Butker. And shout out to Harrison. He got a contract extension on last week. Big money deal. And also, comment that he made at a commencement speech in May, he stood on business. Whether you like it or don't like it, he stood on it, gotta respect it.
And I think that just goes to kind of all of the you can call them distractions this offseason. I mean, you think about Rasheed Rice's incident, you think about Wanye Moore's incident, you think about Harrison Butker, all those things were...
That's why they give them a good chance to treat because they can compartmentalize all that.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to because all that kind of just lingers lingers over this team's head.
It lingers in the background, yeah.
Yeah, it does. And so those are things that you either put up or shut up.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, that does it for us here, Steve. I know you want to take a sponsor us. I do mind afterwards.
Yeah, as always, thank you to my good friends over at Dillard's on a Rosa. Remember, you can go and check them out. Dillard's on a Rosa. Talk to my good friend Heather in the men's department. You can also talk to Jeff. He's the store manager. Go out there. Make sure that you go talk to him and get fitted for whatever your game day may look like, whether it's work, whether it's going out on the town with your husband or your wife. They have something for you.
And of course, as always, I want to thank Todd Clothier and Taylor Suits out there. We're part of 2 locations. Going to extend to 3. It's just a little bit. When that announcement made, I'll let you know. But I want to thank him as well for always getting you suited and booted for tonight's game. And of course, we always want to thank Gates Barbecue for being there with us from day one. So for Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith. Make sure you follow us on social media at Steve Walls KC, at Darren Smith NFL, as well as make sure we'll do a little post-game stuff, as well as we'll bring you the post-game press conference with Andy Reid and whoever else. If we don't know if Patrick will talk because it's preseason, but we'll bring you live post-game coverage, and then we'll bring you interviews as well with the players following tonight's game. So, Steve Walker, thank you so very much for joining us. We are out of here. We'll see you next week in Kansas City.